What's up, guys? We got to talk about this. The MLB Network top 10 right now ratings have gotten to a point where it is just causing too much confusion, too much anger. There's nothing but negative feedback on these things. And in this one, we're going to talk about second base, catcher, and first base. That their lists on purpose. The only reason I think that Ozzie Albies and Francisco Alvarez are not in the top 10 and that Brandon Belt is to try to generate a conversation. But the conversation turns into an argument. It turns into hate because these lists are just wrong. And part of the problem, in addition to this getting it wrong, is there are fans that look at these things for guidance, for knowledge, for a ranking, an honest ranking. Who are the top 10 second basemen? I want to know. Oh, Ozzie Albies isn't there? This is MLB Network. They must know what they're talking about. Ozzie Albies must be overrated. You ever wonder how people get these misconstrued opinions about players and teams? It's bullshit like this that is basically just, it's wrong for a reason. And that reason is we want to get you commenting down below. We want you to tell us where we messed up, how a player that is obviously so deserving to be in the top 10 isn't, or a player that doesn't deserve is, or how a player that should clearly be in the top 3 is 9th. These lists are just bad. They're bad. It's a bad look for MLB Network because it gets to the point where those that are locked in there's no respect. There's no respect. There's no credibility. There's no weight. There's nothing towards these lists. So like I said, in this one, we are going to look at second base, catcher, and first base because and the catcher had 2 glaring misses. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, everybody, if you have not yet. All right, here we go. First base. Brandon Belt in at 8. That is an insult to like 5 other first basemen. Brandon Belt, I'm sorry. Brandon Belt's not the 8th best first baseman in Major League Baseball. That's second base. Where the hell is Ozzie Albies? What happened? Did he die? Ozzie Albies? Come on. And catcher. Where's Jonah Heim? Where's Francisco Alvarez? Leaving them out. It's almost, you think it's calculated. You leave Francisco Alvarez out. You know that Mets fan base is going to pounce. It's going to get a ton of comments. You leave Ozzie Albies out. It's going to generate a ton of comments. The Brandon Belt thing, I think somebody was just drunk that day when they made that list, when they put that together. Somebody lost a bet and they had to add Brandon Belt. I don't know. Because there's no reason for any of this to occur. So again, we're going to fix it. And look, I understand the way rankings work. Hardly anybody ever agrees on a ranking. You got 10 spots. You're not going to agree on all 10. But what is important is that the 10 that you're talking about deserve to be there. Brandon Belt does not belong there. Ozzie Albies out. Again, we're missing. We're not having the right conversation if we're having it around the top first baseman and we have Brandon Belt. The top second baseman, we don't have Ozzie Albies. The top catchers, and we don't have Francisco Alvarez. We're having the wrong conversation, and we are misleading people. We are confusing people. We are irritating people. All of these are not things you want your fan base to feel. You want them to feel trust. You want them to feel knowledged. You want them to feel good. You're not creating a sense of good with these rankings. So let's go through again. We're going to fix it. And again, you're not going to agree with mine either. It's just the way it is. You would put 10 together. I wouldn't agree with yours. That is what it is. We are going to have differing opinions. But as long as we have the 10, as long as we're close, then we're good. Maybe you'll learn something. This is a guy, me, who does not spend time only thinking about his team, who does not find 10 minutes a day to think about baseball. Hours a day, the whole league every day. So let's take a look at this. Let's fix catcher. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be better than this because Alejandro Kirk does not belong in here. Cal Raleigh, I know you hit the most home runs of any catcher, does not belong in here. We got a guy that is 19th in framing. We got a guy that is 27th in pop time. Cal Raleigh's defensive metrics take him out of the equation. So what are we going to use to figure this out? Frame rate, pop time, home runs, what's your power, and OPS. Can you get on base? Extra base hits, all that. We're going to take those 4 metrics into account when we pull this together. Let me show you 10 through 5. I got Gary Sanchez, Jonah Heim, William Contreras, Wilson Contreras, and Will Smith 10 through 6. Now, Gary Sanchez, you may be saying, this guy's off his rocker. Don't leave yet. Don't click out because you saw Gary Sanchez's name. Gary Sanchez was 10th in framing. Gary Sanchez was 7th in pop time. And his 19 home runs was 11th from the catcher position. Gary Sanchez is your number 10. Should be. Gary Sanchez cannot be overlooked. Jonah Heim, one of the best framing catchers in baseball. We got a good bat here. He needs to be here. The 2 Contrerases, if you could put the 2 together, you would have an amazing catcher because William Contreras is good at framing. Wilson's not. And Wilson Contreras is good at pop time. William is not. So if you could put the 2 together, you would have a great catcher. They're 8 and 7. Will Smith comes in at number 6. We had the OPS was down below 800 last year. His frame rate was 28th. Pop time was still good, but that frame rate, that offense that sort of took a step back, that I would anticipate will bounce back. If I didn't think it would bounce back, I wouldn't have Will Smith 6th. So we got Will Smith in here at number 6. Number 5, Yenyer Diaz from the Houston Astros. 4th in pop time, 3rd most home runs, and an 846 OPS would be the highest OPS for any catcher. So Diaz has to be here. Number 4, we've got Alvarez. Now, the fact that Alvarez was not on this list at all, again, I argue the only reason to do that would be to fire up Mets fans and get them commenting, because when they comment on something, it shares it with their network and it spreads. Because Francisco Alvarez, frame rate, 5th. Home runs, 2nd most. 19th in pop time is not good, but it's also not the worst. We're right around the middle there. And an OPS of 721, and he's only getting better. Alvarez, 4th. Number 3, it's JT Realmuto. I have Realmuto behind Adley and Sean Murphy because his framing, JT Realmuto's, is in the bottom of the league. 37th in framing strike rate. So that hurts him. Great pop time, best pop time. Durable, dependable, 4th in OPS for catchers who qualified, but the framing hurts him when I'm comparing him to the other 2 elites, and that being Adley and Murphy. I got Adley in at number 2. I got Sean Murphy in at number 1. Sean Murphy is the only catcher where we have a top 5 frame rate and pop time. Adley, you've got the 9th best pop time and the 10th best frame rate. So Adley's in the top 10 for both. Murphy's in the top 5 for both. Plus, we know Sean Murphy can crush the ball. Murphy checks all of the boxes, and he does it extremely well. He's number 1. To have Sean Murphy 3rd is a mistake. Will Smith 2nd is a mistake. To have Kirk, to have Raleigh, to have Moreno is a mistake. Gabriel Moreno and Patrick Bailey, I would tell you, are next when it comes to catchers, but they're not here now. I would expect Gabriel Moreno to be in a top 10 list every year moving forward, starting next year, for the next 5-6 years. And I think Patrick Bailey is going to be in the conversation as well. They got next. They're not in here right now. Let's go to first base. We'll move a little bit quicker through first base. Let's put the back half up again. We got Naylor in at 10. Naylor was left off the list. Naylor is who we slide in instead of Brandon Belt. Brandon Belt is out. Naylor is in. I have Vladdy at 9. Vladdy's not 7. Vladdy's not. Look at his numbers. Look at his OPS. Look at his power compared to Tristan Casas. It's Casas all day. And the same with Christian Walker. And Walker's better defensively. So Christian Walker behind Vladdy. Christian Walker behind Brandon Belt is an insult. Tristan Casas behind Brandon Belt is an insult. Stop doing it. So we have Vladdy, Casas, then Walker, and Pete Alonso. Hey, we agree on something. Pete Alonso in at number 6. Then 5 through 1, it's Goldie, Diaz, Olsen, Harper, and Freeman. I put Diaz over Goldie because of Diaz's bat. I know Goldie plays a better defense, but a better first base. But with Yandy Diaz and what he can do offensively, Yandy Diaz is elite with the bat in everything he does at the plate. He's the number 4 first baseman. He has passed Goldie. Last year, it would have been Goldschmidt. Now, Diaz, and he's rising. Olsen in at 3, Harper at 2. I understand Braves fans, you probably like me for the Sean Murphy thing. You don't like me for this one. Look, I like Matt Olson. I have liked Matt Olson since before he came to the Braves. So I liked him before you did, Atlanta Braves fans. But I still believe that Olsen is number 3. It stings even more that it's Harper because he's on the Phillies and he's Harper. But Bryce Harper, I have him over Olsen. Look, it's not by miles and miles. It's close, but I still put Harper above Olsen, and Freeman is in at 1. And there's really, I don't really question that at all. Let's go to second base. We have Julian. I move him down 2 spots. We have Horner and Jimenez. They get the edge over Julian because of their defense. Marte is here. Stott gets the edge over Marte because of Stott's defense. 5, I have Altuve. Altuve's not number 2. He just isn't. And I think most would agree with that. Houston Astros fans, many of you may push back on that, but I believe Jose Altuve is not number 2. And there's no reason to even have the conversation about him being number 2. Luis Arraez, yes, I want him ahead of Altuve. You're noticing Matt McLean's not here? Matt McLean is another guy like Gabriel Moreno. Next. Matt McLean has next. So we have Altuve and Arraez. Number 3, here's Ozzie Albies. Why is he not here in the first place? Again, you're just confusing people. And you're making a fan base angry. That's what you want to do? So Albies is 3. Number 2, it's Marcus Semien. And number 1, it is Mookie Betts. So we got to fix this. We can't keep doing this stuff. It needs to be right. When these debates are happening, they need to be accurate with information, with knowledge, so that people aren't running around with opinions based on a top 10 list that a network put out there to just try to rile up a fan base and get more comments. It's a poor job by MLB Network. They don't need to be out there baiting for clicks. They're the MLB Network, for God's sakes. They got it. They're established. Everybody knows who you are. You don't need to be baiting for clicks. Who's putting this together? Bad stuff. Comment below. Again, I don't expect us to agree on these top 10s, but I think the players that we're talking about in the top 10 should be pretty accurate, and where we have them should also be pretty accurate. If you're telling me that we should have Nico Horner in the top 5, I'm going to scratch my head. If you're going to tell me Stott should be ahead of Altuve, tell me why. If we're 1 spot apart, just tell me why. Because you may be able to sway my opinion. Because in most of these instances, 4 is close to 5, 5 is close to 6, 6 is close to 7. Most instances, these are pretty close, as it is. Again, comment and let me know what you think. It's got to stop. MLB Network, got to fix this. This is just a bad job. You're confusing people. You're making people angry. Stop. Do the right thing. Put an honest list out. That's going to do it for this one, everybody. I am out of here. Thank you guys for coming in and spending time with the video. Make sure to hit that like if you haven't yet and subscribe if you are new. We're out of here. Hopefully, MLB Network gets the message and gets this thing cleaned up.